Hello, my name is JT Norimaki, and I'll be submitting Mighty Switch Force 2 New Game Plus 100% for this upcoming GDQ event. Much like the 2015 run done by Tony Ogbot in the SGDQ event, we are going to be utilizing the Mighty Hose, which makes things a lot quicker. The only difference will be, instead of just grabbing the Hooligan Sisters in this one, we're going to grab the babies out of all the stages, which makes it quote-unquote 100% for these particular runs. So we're going to go ahead and get started here in 3, 2, 1, and go. So again, you've got this basic general tutorial stage. Doesn't exactly get explained on what you need to do, so you kind of have to figure things out on your own, but it's all basics. You know, you jump over blocks, or you jump over pits of death, and you have fire that you have to worry about and things like that. You're just basically trying to get through there, so we're just going to plug right on through here. In the way forward way of teaching you, they don't like to just give everything to you on a silver platter. You just kind of figure it out. But you'll notice that the Mighty Hose is taking out everything in one shot. Again, it's just a much more powerful tool than the standard new game hose that you get at the beginning of any sort of run or new game run that you want to do. I'm going to take some tight jumps there, not super tight. They're actually pretty forgiving to be able to just do things quicker without having to do some extra switching. And we're going to do a switch here just to set things up here for this next part. So all that's left now is one sister, one baby, and that baby is actually located below the stage. So you have to do some switching in order to get to it as quickly as possible. No problem. Just grab it, go, and then have to switch your way back out, because obviously you would not be able to jump these heights. Snag. And there's the end of the stage. Alright, Incident 2 is pretty much the same en route. We're going to lose a little bit of time, obviously, because of the fact of diverging to get the baby, which will be done at about the halfway point of this particular one. So right now, it all starts out pretty much the same as the any % route. You're basically just grabbing the sisters as you go. Worry about that. And then after the halfway point of grabbing the third sister, that's where things diverge. You have to be careful about your gun placement. I forgot to grab this girl. And that thing. You have to drop this Hooligan Sister first, or otherwise you're going to lose a little bit more time in regards to getting things set up. So, little goof up on my part, nothing too huge in time loss. I just kind of, that bat threw me off, as it always tends to do. You don't want to take out the block, because obviously you need to be able to get up there to get the Hooligan Sister free and within the accessible range. We're still going to be well under par here, but, well, I wouldn't say well under par, but that little goof did cost me about 5 seconds overall, so. Could be worse if you end up going down before you didn't want to, then you're losing even more time. So I'm not going to complain too much about what just happened there. Even though it was a little sloppy, we still got through it pretty okay. Alright, vertical stage number 1. So this is kind of a climbing thing. Think of it as kind of like the original Donkey Kong games, where you've got to climb layers and layers, and things get interesting as you get more and more up the top here. Dang it, I did not missed that jump. I'm not sure why that happened, but I'm going to deal with it. So it's a little bit of a time loss there, unfortunately. Make up for it. With that extremely tight jump right there to get into that particular launcher. That's a very tight window of a jump. One switch to get the baby. I'm just going to drop into the fire there because it's safer than trying to hit that pixel perfect spot on the ledge there and not drop down and lose even more time having to platform your way back up. I mean, well under par, no biggie, we're good. Alright, Incident 4 now introduces these monsters that have to be killed in order to be able to unlock a door or progress through the stage. That's kind of a new mechanic that's added at this particular point. But again, the Mighty Hose makes quick work of these things, so rather than doing it as you would in a normal game plus, where you have to go through some really kind of intricate means of dealing with these particular monsters, you can just basically one-shot them with the Mighty Hose and move on. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of plow our way through here. Now the tricky part of this one is this will be the first stage that introduces the ability to miss your attempt at getting the baby if you do things properly. So what you have to be careful of is kind of just keeping your hose under control, keeping the hose under control so that you don't. I'm going to take this very marathon safe right now. There was a tight jump that you can do there, saves you a little bit of time. But if you have these mud blocks in place, you're able to get up here to get this baby rather than just shooting through and getting the sister. And that just saved me just a smidge of time. Okay, just want to see what was going on down there. Okay, so sometimes that monster can be in different places, so it's always good to just check and make sure. I'm not sure why I jumped there. That's going to waste a smidge of time, but we're still way under par, and we're going to move forward. So about 5 minutes through 4 incidents isn't terrible of a time. I've done a few mistakes, which cost me, I should be sub 5 officially, probably more like a 4:55 overall, given my current abilities with this particular game. Alright, so now this is one of the ones we're going to actually implement depth warping in. It'll be the first time you see it, so you're going to see me skipping these checkpoints. And that's just so that I can actually quickly get to the very end of the stage here at the last part after collecting the last sister. Now obviously setting up for the baby is a little tricky because they put these blocks in the way and you've just got to make sure you don't take out too many. So again, controlling the hose, make sure you're not overdoing it. That last mud block now becomes my backstop. I can grab the baby and move forward. So again, avoiding the checkpoint. Grab this last sister, Death Warp, and it puts us right next to where Gen Armor is, so we're just going to easily hop in. Call it good. So that's how Death Warping can work to your advantage in this, as long as you're setting up everything properly. Good to go. You'll see Death Warping again in another stage later, so we'll show that off here in a bit. Alright, stage 6 is a pretty quick one. It's kind of a blink and you just suddenly are out of it kind of thing. Here's a divergence for the baby. The only place you can get it is that direction there. It's just the quickest way in the route to be able to pull it off. Now we just grab the rest of the sisters like they're nothing. And we still make under par on that one. Now that's about, I'd say about 11 seconds longer because of the baby diversion. Normally getting the baby or skipping the baby, you can do that stage easily sub 20 seconds, like no problem. So you can see just kind of how much time really in-game, at least, it is caused by the inclusion of grabbing the babies in this particular case. Okay, so I'm going to do some very tight platforming here. It's like a 1 or 2 pixel window of being able to hit those jumps that I just did, but saves just a little bit of time instead of doing it with all the switching. But I am going to take this part a little bit safe for marathon purposes. Normally you would just jump from those blue, or on the blue blocks to the blue blocks in order to be able to kind of traverse things there, but if you miss it, it's punishing. So I just basically avoided that for the purposes of just kind of getting through this quickly. There are a couple of other jumps that I will do, like that one there. That's, again, a very close one. I will avoid the bonk here because it's really difficult. You don't lose a lot of time if you don't get it, and it looks really cool if you do. The only trick is it's a very difficult window. Alright, now, these are very tight jumps, because the game can sometimes get pretty darn picky about when it assumes Patty is in front of the block and when it's not. So sometimes you think you're clear when you're doing it, and you're not, and the game will smash her into the foreground, and it gets kind of messy. So, well, not messy in the fact that there's blood everywhere, thank goodness. I mean, this game's not that kind of brutal, but we try to avoid any sort of time loss. Obviously, if you take a death anywhere, you're launched back to the last checkpoint. Oops. Was thinking about the third jump there and not the second one. And I'm going to take this a little bit slow, just kind of a more safer setup where there's not a 1 pixel window of getting through things here. So just take this to be a little bit safer. Still well under par, and we're moving forward. And obviously we mashed through those screens just to get through them as quickly as possible, no big deal. Alright, so Stage 8 now introduces these ovens, which can be extremely punishing in any sort of playthrough. It doesn't matter if you're doing speedrun or casual. They just become a real nightmare for the player in regards to the fact that they, 1, regenerate very quickly, 2, can just really put you in a bad spot, especially in some of the later stages where you're dealing with a lot of them together. The good news is obviously the Mighty Hose makes quick work of putting them out, where the normal hose in a normal playthrough, it's not New Game Plus, and using the Mighty Hose can make things a little bit more challenging. Alright, you got some tight platforming coming up here in regards to, 1, just saving yourself an extra bonk there. I kind of paused after making that jump because I wasn't sure that I had it. The next ones are going to be right here. This is an extremely tight jump to be able to get up here to set up for the baby, which requires a lot of switching. If you miss any of these, you're likely to land down into this bed of spikes, and rather than take a death warp, because you can see that my checkpoint's right there, it's just better to just keep moving forward. So I got that jump twice, which is good. That actually saves me the most amount of time within this particular run. Gets the Hooligan Sister without having to do an extra switch. I'm going to take this a little safe because this bat loves to troll me a lot, so rather than take the chance of getting hit by him, dropped into the spikes, we're just going to take that safe by doing the extra switch to put me in a better spot to attack him. Still well under par, and we're going to move on. That would be our halfway point out of 16 incidents, and we're done with 8. Alright, now the puzzling gets to be a little bit more complicated. In a casual playthrough, first time try to figure this out, it can kind of get maddening a bit. You know, fortunately they don't throw a lot of monsters and stuff at you, but it can just be interesting trying to figure out exactly like what sequence of things you need to do. Make sure I had both of those. Alright, so that's that set up here, and I'm going to do some switching here just to do some setting up. Whoops. Okay. Missing that jump just made me brain freeze for like a second as I was trying to figure out exactly what I needed to do to set up things here. Okay, this is it. Alright, there we go. So you can see that this thing doesn't always follow the rules. You're able to actually still shoot through a couple of things, and, well, you know, you see the result there without having to go through the actual puzzle that is intended by Way Forward to get through that particular one. So we just do a little bit of a sequence break there just to speed things up. That's used again later in a run in one spot just to, again, kind of sequence break things and get you through the run a little bit quicker. So well under par because of the fact that we're breaking the sequence of what's really supposed to occur there, and we move forward. Alright, so Return of the Ovens, and this is also one of the stages where not only do we have the brutal effect of having to deal with these things, if you really get in a bad spot, these things will just eat away your life. We also have one of the other opportunities where we're going to potentially miss the baby if I don't keep the hose under control. It's very tight in one particular spot, so if you overshoot things, then you end up losing time because of the fact that you've got to reset the stage. The mud blocks do not regenerate even on death, and you would have to completely reset the stage in order to make sure that you're able to have a shot at getting the baby here. So you just have to be very careful, and this is the spot right here. So you can see I'm not going all out with the hose because I need to be able to make that jump, right? That's where the only place you can get to the baby from is if you take out the mud block that gets you on that oven, it's pretty much reset the stage. So now that we're safe and clear from there, we'll grab that last Hooligan Sister, hit that checkpoint, and just move on our merry way. So now anything that detrimentally could happen won't be a big time loss at this point, just as long as we make sure that we get that particular thing out of the way. I'm going to take some damage here because I'm just going a little bit faster. I didn't want to wait for the hose to calm down to be able to hit that oven, and generally health isn't too much of an issue in this particular game. Like, they give you plenty through the most part, so you can see I'm not really caring about her health. I'm just going to plow through there and move forward. That's just a little bit quicker than waiting for the hose to calm down again, so... Alright, Incident 11, this has got a very tight window here. If you miss this, you have to drop, or basically reset the stage, because if you drop down, there's no quick way of getting back up there to be able to set that up the way that you would want to in an actual speedrun attempt, so... Now we're just going to grab a couple of Hooligan Sisters here, and then get ready for Death Warps to be utilized to get us back to the top of the stage in the quickest way possible. So this block looks good. There we go. So now it just takes us back to the top of the stage where we can get the rest of the Hooligan Sisters, no problem. Now here in another case where that hose control is important. You take out the one I'm standing on right now, you would not be able to get that baby because you would not be able to take out that mud block, which would be needed in order to complete the stage. Okay, now I'm going to go... Oh, I missed it. I am going to go grab the baby. Come back down here, grab the sister. Death Warp. And this puts us right under Gen Armor. Stage complete. Well under par, so... That's how quickly the Mighty Hose basically makes a lot of things, because you're just pounding through these blocks really quick. But again, it's a detriment in this run too, because you've got to be a little bit more careful with it and how it's utilized to make sure that you're not missing your opportunities to get the baby in certain stages where this thing can quickly destroy those hopes and dreams of yours. So I'm going to take this safe by doing this switch here. There is a very tight jump there. It's not super tight, but I'm just going to take this for safety's sake, just to make sure that we get through this run pretty consistently without too much time loss. So what you're going to see now is I'm going to be doing a lot of setup in regards to setting up for the baby, because we have to actually go kind of backwards to go forwards, I guess would be the best way to put it. I'm not sure why I just did that, unfortunately, but the time loss is small because that's my checkpoint. It's just more death animation, waiting for the respawn, whatnot, but nothing huge there. But you see, I have to take out these blocks on this side. I'm going to also take this just a little bit slower than normal, just to make sure. I have to take out all of these blocks on this side here, and I'm not sure why I keep smashing myself. I'm just kind of being a little silly in regards to when I'm platforming or doing these certain things. But again, we're taking these blocks out on the side because it clears up the path to be able to get our baby at the end of the stage. Now I got to be extremely careful here because I have like no life, and if I goof this up once, it's pretty much GG. So I have to be extremely careful here. As you can see, very tight windows to get through there, but once you get through it, you get the baby, you move on, and we're still well under par, so. It was a little close there. I had that 1 health, and it's easy to smash yourself when you're trying to predict when you're needing to do the switches, because again, the windows are pretty tiny, and it gets kind of nasty very quick if you're not paying attention. So perfect. That's exactly what I needed. All right. Oops. Jump button didn't want to engage. I was saving myself a little bit of time there by not doing an extra switch to be able to get back over there and forward to get the sister. So it gets a little more complicated. Obviously, the puzzles get a little bit more difficult as you go along. So just knowing what to do, when to do it. That was a little sloppy there as I made a mistake in jumping first, but not a huge time loss as we continue on. Okay, we got another tight jump coming up here, which I made. And I paused because I wasn't sure if I had it made. It was extremely tight on that one, but no worries, we're good. And just making sure things remain set up for what I need here. Gotta go back for the baby. And this is kind of nasty jumping right here, because you have a very tight window in regards to making it through and landing on the platform. So you just have to very carefully make it through there. If you take a smash, you obviously, again, go back to the last save checkpoint, I mean, and you just have to kind of... Oh my goodness, my eyes did not tell me what I needed to see there. Not good. So now we're going to see what this just does to my thing. Okay. So my cycle got off because of that death, which I'll have to adjust accordingly for. Like that particular one right there was an extra switch that I normally wouldn't have to take. That's where the punishment of taking just the wrong smash will get you. Because it told... And I just did it again. Wow. Okay, my brain is not exactly functioning. It's pretty hot in my room. Not that I should be using that as an excuse. Because I shouldn't be. Fortunately, I think this sets me up again for this. Yeah, okay. Well, at least we're where we should be here. Alright, so now we just gotta be extremely careful of what I'm doing here, because cycles get a little funky if you take too many mistakes, and then you're really kind of off and trying to figure out, you know, what do you need to do in order to get through this and not lose too much time. Unfortunately, I lost quite a bit of time there taking those 2 deaths, but so we will not make par on this particular stage just because of a couple of silliness mistakes on my part. But still a decent run overall. I'm not going to complain. We only have a few more incidents to go. That's what I wanted. Setting up some preemptive damage, again using that ability for the hose to kind of break through a couple of spots in the corners of these blocks. And again, you can see just power of the mighty hose, doesn't care about your intended ways. It's going to do its thing. Okay, now I know I've got a problem. Okay, this is going to be a little slow, unfortunately, because I'm a little off cycle here, but it's fine. Is that one mistake in platforming? Okay, so again, here we go with another area we have to be extremely careful about what we're doing with the hose. Because if you take out these mud blocks, they do not regenerate. You will not have the ability to get the baby. And would have to entirely reset the entire stage to be able to get the baby. So, no problem. No problem. We're not in a bad spot here to get this guy pretty quickly. Just remember to grab this girl. It was early on learning this game. I would make that mistake frequently of not remembering to grab that kid or that girl, and it was always a problem when I got to the end, and I'm like, why is Gen Armor not there? And I was like, oh, because I made a mistake in not grabbing everyone. So it's an easy mistake to make, but not a big one. At any rate, you can see we saved basically an overall minute, even though there were some slight mistakes, it was still a pretty good stage overall. I'm not going to complain. And we only have 2 stages left, so this is actually a pretty good run for me in this particular case. I may force myself a little bit because I'm trying to make up for that earlier mistake, but we should be fine here. This stage is pretty straightforward. There's not really a lot going on. You know, they're going to start to throw a lot of things at you with the switches, the monsters, and things like that. And then you just notice it kind of looks like one of those old school kind of 8-bit or maybe even early 16-bit kind of games where they decided to model, and you've got these invisible platforms, which makes things a little tricky if you're not paying attention. So you can easily miss the fact that you need to jump and land up in a bed of spikes that you normally wouldn't want to do. So, like right here, you can see you've kind of taken a leap of faith, but a pretty consistent jump overall in that regard. So what I'm going to try to do here is just avoid a little bit of time, or save a little bit of time by doing a very tight jump. Not super tight in regards to everything. It's not that difficult, but definitely saves you the intended amount of time that it would take to get through a particular part right here. Oh, well, unfortunately that didn't occur for me, so we're now going to do this the intended route, which is going to cost me a good 10 seconds easy. Normally you would be able to jump over there, you just skip that entire back and forth kind of thing. No big deal. Just got to remember to go grab our baby. I'm not sure why I switched there, but you have to just counter Gen Armor to get the baby, then just struck down on his head, no problem. Now, a little bit of time there lost just because I made that one mistake, and then slowing down at the end there as I was trying to make sure that I had done a mental inventory of getting all the babies up to this point. So we're now in the final incident, which for all intents and purposes is basically an auto-scroller. We're now at the mercy of this timer. For the blocks to switch, we can't switch them ourselves, which is kind of an annoyance, but it's just kind of what it is. These games tended to throw these in here a lot. If you miss that jump, you can't get the baby, so you'd have to reset. And of course, being an auto-scroller, well, you just imagine the time loss that would occur there. And any death you take here is pretty punishing, too, because of the fact that this is indeed just an auto-scroller. So you want to basically not die if you can avoid it in any way, shape, or form. Missing any of these things just really throws you off. But the Mighty Hose, again, just makes this pretty easy stage to get through in regards to time progression. You get to skip a lot of things that you normally wouldn't have to deal with from a new game perspective, so at least we have that going for us going into this final part. But for the most part, this is a good time for donations. As you can see, there's not really a lot to talk about. We're just kind of waiting for the cycles to go and everything like that. So in a given run, this would be perfect time for the remaining of this point for us to say, go ahead and read us some donations if you would not mind. I tried to be bold there, and I should have known when I took the damage that I was not going to make it. I should have just left well enough alone. It's an extremely tight window, and now I'm just making real mistakes, so now I'm going to take this extremely slow. Oh, shoot. Or not. Well, that's painful, unfortunately, but since we're so close to the end of this run, I'm going to continue anyway. That is not normally what would occur in this run, and I just got a little bolder than I normally should have because I knew that I was getting close, I was getting anxious, and of course being an auto-scroller, you tend to get anxious, so I apologize for that. That is not what would happen in a run. So again, yeah, same old, nothing changes with this particular one, even with the death. Which obviously, in that particular case, we just reset the entire stage anyway. Just feel kind of silly having done that, but it's one of those things that just happens. All we can do is move forward, so we're going to keep doing that, no biggie. Just lost a couple of minutes in the run and all. Unfortunately, this should have been about a 28-minute run, and now it'll be closer to about 30. But that's why you have estimates, and you kind of increase because, you know, things will happen, unfortunately. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the music. so now to show what this looks like proper. Alright, I'm just going to take this safe instead of trying to do the bold strategy. Generally, you have enough time to get through there, and it's not a big deal. But we can skip the rest of the stage. That's how close we were to actually finishing it. It was just like, again, trying to get too bold. Got a little too cocky at the end there, and it cost me quite a bit. As you can see, I've lost quite a bit of time on this particular stage. But we're going to get through it. Because again, you can skip the entire last part, no problem. Not sure if that's still intended or not. Alright, final boss time. So even though there's no story elements in this game, you can kind of extrapolate that this monster is likely the cause of our problems with all the fire and the weirdness. We're not sure why the aliens are a part of it, but you can see this guy obviously generates a lot of fire, so... And you obviously were answering the question of where were all the hooligan sisters throughout that whole stage? Well, they were right here. The whole time he had swallowed them. Other than the baby, we just had to get here in order to save our girls, so... Oh wow, taking a shot there, that's interesting. Thank you. Unfortunately, this guy's more like on the timer, so even though I didn't grab that girl right away and looked all cool and stuff, I didn't lose any time for not having snagged her up right away. Alright, time will be coming up in the last bit here. Last strikes of this guy's eyeball. There we go. So, just under 32 minutes, not a bad run. I think it was a little bit faster than what I've currently got posted on there. I'm still grinding out this particular category, but no major deaths other than the last stage, which really was painful and again cost me like 2 to 3 minutes. So, this run is usually under 30. And that was what I would be submitting it for, is be a 30-minute run, so just to be safe, I probably should re-record this again, but in case I don't, at least I got a completed run, and that's what I'm going to go for. So again, thank you so much for your time on this particular game, and considering this for the upcoming GDQ event. Hope you enjoyed this particular presentation, and we will see you on my next run. So this is again JT Norimaki, and I'll be signing up for now. Thank you so much for your time.